good feet, and be nasty. In 2019, my starting right guard was 5'8", 240 pounds. He had unbelievable feet, and he was a weapon in the screen game, but he was the meanest, nastiest junkyard dog you'd ever met.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Back Ups.
Boom. Hey, I'm Timbo B. Davis, and I coach football, and that guy is
Connor B. Feckley, and I coach football.
That's convenient. This is a football podcast, gosh darn it. We have a great guest, a friend of Connor's from a while back. I got to meet him at working the All-Alaska football camp a couple years ago. We have Shlichte of Morningside football. Coach, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
How's that weather down there in Iowa?
You know, it's 65, and I've played 18 holes each of the last 2 days, so things are good down here, man. Things are good.
So I got the awesome opportunity to have Coach work with Coach Schlichte. I guess was I still a player your first year at Dubuque?
You were the backup quarterback my first year, and then you took over, and then you
the
next 3 years. Yeah, so I got to let you go from a little pup into a starting quarterback. So.
Yeah, so we got a chance to, like I said, you obviously play under you while you were at Dubuque in your GA, and then getting a chance to stick on staff there and coach tight end. So I got a chance to work with you a little bit, and now you've moved on to Morningside. Do you mind just kind of sharing a little bit about where you came from, how you got into coaching, and your role at Morningside now?
Absolutely. I'm a coach's kid. I'm a teacher's kid. My mom's taught fifth grade for 37 years now. My dad coached college football when I was a kid, before I was born, and then coached high school when I was growing up. So I've always been a coach's kid and in that realm. Grew up in southern Minnesota, in Mankato. Was lucky enough to win a state title when I was in high school. Got an opportunity to walk on to, at that point, one of the top D2 programs in the country, the University of Minnesota Duluth, when they were coming off their second national title in 3 years. Had a great 4-year career up there as a tight end. Loved it up there. Every second was awesome. Learning, got to play in a lot of big games over the years, and then a family friendship took me to Dubuque, and Stan Zwiefel's head coach down there, and I've known him my whole life, and Big Z, as he likes to be called. Never a quiet moment around the office. I think Connor can attest to that. Never a quiet moment, but and he'll agree. Good and bad with it. Being a GA is not easy, but you learn so much from Z about work ethic and putting the time in and dedication in the profession, that whether you go on and you're coaching high school like you are, Connor, or like I am, you move on to someplace else, you're kind of set for your career as long as you keep up the routines that you were taught as a GA under Stan. And I'll always be extremely thankful to Stan for that, for that time and the lessons that he taught me at Dubuque, and then also coaching D3, man. It's a different world. Recruiting, you're not offering scholarships. You're basically, asking kids to play high school football in terms of, gear. They got to buy their own gear. They got to do all those things in Division III, and you work really, really hard just to be good. You're not getting super talented players. You're not getting, transfers. The portal didn't exist. None of that stuff. And so it was a great experience for me, for sure. And now I'm at Morningside, and I've lost one game out of 25 here, so we're doing okay.
And I was just gonna say, I know you're working with now. Your role at Morningside is O-line coach.
I have tight ends and O-line together, and then I'm also the run game coordinator as well. So really kind of put together our entire run game plan for our OC and our head coach, and that's our head coach is an old O-line coach. So I always joke I'm the second O-line coach on staff at all times.
I think that's why I asked you that, because I think I've heard you say that before. And so that's why I was kind of curious. Okay, I'm with you now. Now it's all cleared up. I got you.
Yeah, so he doesn't coach day-to-day stuff, but if I walk in with a run game idea and he doesn't love it, we ain't even going to try it. So, because he's done this job, on a high level, and it's terrific. I joke, I spend most of our time just making sure quarterbacks' jerseys stay clean. That is my number one job. And our head coach, as much as he wants to run the football, we've been the number one passing offense in the country each of the last 3 or 4 years now. In the last 2 years combined, we've given up 6 sacks. So, there's 400 some dropbacks last year, 300 some dropbacks. So 700 dropbacks, we get up 6 sacks. So we're doing okay.
Heck yeah. And I want to just add one more thing. You mentioned there, since you've got to Morningside, you've only lost 1 game, which, sadly happened to be last weekend. But would you mind kind of speaking a little bit about what that's been like? Morningside is prestigious and dominant as they have been. What has that been like, being a chance to be a part of that program? Obviously, get your feet wet, got national championship ring yourself. Congratulations again.
Thank
and then
you.
to come back, you said the recruiting process. I kind of want a separate question to kind of ask you about the differences between that and NAIA and D3. But before we get into that, just kind of share us with a little bit what it's like been like at Morningside with all that national championship stuff.
So I got hired in the spring of 19, and they were coming off their first national championship in school history. They went 15-0 that year. And that whole first year, I got to be honest, my whole mindset was don't screw this up and don't be the reason why they don't win another one. Because I was the only new guy on staff. I was no pressure whatsoever. First time coaching offensive line. I had a very veteran group. I had, 9 out of my 10 I traveled were juniors or seniors. So they had been around the block. They had played in big games and all that. So my difficulties and my struggles were, don't screw things up. They were mental, not so much teaching and coaching side of it. And obviously we did win national title again in 19. This year was so much different. I was replacing 4 starters. I only have 3 seniors and 2 juniors, and so I have a bunch of kids in my room. And obviously, once you do it, the OC who left, Lucas Luter, is a great mentor of mine and a great offensive mind. Kind of after the game, shook my hand and said, "Hey, welcome to the club. You're one of us. You win it. You go through the journey. You go through the playoff run. All that. You're one of us." And since then, it's just been how much better can I make myself? How can I expand my horizons, my understanding of our run game, how we do things, and I think you really saw it come together for our guys as my group of starters in the playoffs against teams that were really, really good defensive teams, and the best in the country. We put up 500 plus yards on each game, and even the last game that we got beat, we put up 692 yards, had 330 on the ground in the last game. So
yeah.
It just, the first year was don't screw it up. The second year is let's make it the best it's ever been, and year 3 is going to be the greatest hits tour. So that's the plan going forward. But it's definitely different, and the pressure is, it's always constant. But when you're an O-line coach, I like to look at it this way. My daily stress level is elevated. Does it ever peak like it did at tight end and Carletti's running the wrong route on angle read? No, it doesn't. You don't see any hat throws from me like back in the day. It's just a constant level of stress you have to manage about keeping your quarterback upright and just keeping everybody safe. So it's different. I like it though, and I like my kids. I have a great group of kids, and it's why we do what we do. It's why I do what I do. Is I want to make a difference for them. And when you got kids that buy in and follow the culture that's been set forth, good things happen, man. And that's how we won 24 out of 25 games since I've been here.
So now, are all those seniors that you just had this year, are those guys all eligible again to come back in the fall?
I'm returning all my guys. I'll bring back the entire offensive line. So
good for you. That'd be nice.
It'll be really exciting. We had a long conversation last week before they kind of focused on finals and just said, hey guys, we're going to come back. We're going to build on what we did in the playoff run. But half of your job now is to build it with the young guys, because 4 of you guys are done after next year. Your legacy isn't the trophies in the case. It's the guys that replace you and how they handle being ready. And so that's going to be a big part for me this summer, is getting them to take care of the young guys and teach and develop, because Coach Davis, this is you get older guys teaching younger guys. In addition to you as a teacher teaching them, they learn faster, and it's a more powerful message. It's not just someone telling them what to do. It's a mentor showing them, and then they want to be successful.
Man, I can't agree with you more. I think it's the whole, if a team is led by coaches, they're going to be good. When they're led by those players, the teams can be great. And I was looking over, we're going to talk about your week by week scheduling and how you communicate and work with your guys. But your week 11 is all about how we get better off the field. And you put during meetings, make sure that you sit in the order that you play so that the connections can be built between players, teach players how to watch film. And I just like the idea of assigning older players and a younger player to have a mentor and a guide. That week 11 that you wrote in there, man, that fired me up, because it's super cool if we can chop it up and coach it up. But I'm not in the actual trenches. We're the generals in HQ. We're not the dudes in the mud. And I love that philosophy you've instilled with your guys.
I mean, sit in the order, and I took that directly from Coach Nystrom, Fact Daddy.
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
It works great if you're in a classroom or a meeting space. And at Dubuque, it was great because there were 2 tables and there were 6 chairs, and you could go 5, 5, 5, and just sit right in rows. I have what's collectively known as the Boar's Nest as my office, and we just got a bunch of couches. And so I've kind of, like, the first day I did it, I literally kind of taped out spots. And so now my first 2 groups basically sit in the first row of 4 couches, and my third and fourth groups sit in the second row, but they sit in pods of 5. So the center knows the left tackle's voice out of his left ear, and you can train your body to react faster because of, now Nystrom was a biology, teaching, all that. I'm a business, urban planning guy. So there's something involved, synapses in the brain and all that. I got a C+ in chemistry in college and got the heck out of the science building. So that's the farthest I can go on that. But it works. It really does work.
So do you have your guys then the next couch behind them are those 2s, and they're getting the same message, kind of building that camaraderie, that connection, but also you have your mentor dude sitting right in front of you to some degree. So like, hey, that guy's been doing this job for 2-3 years.
Very much so. Very much so. And my big thing with the mentors is during fall camp, they have to eat, the mentor and mentoree have to eat together at least once a day. Fall camp for a college football player, especially if, I think O-line is the hardest jump from high school to college, in my opinion, positionally. And to do it, be away from home for the first time, to do it against arguably the best defensive line in the country who wants nothing but blood every play. Like, I love our D-line and D-line coach. I hate practicing against them. I can't stand it. Is you need a support system. You need a big brother or someone that, like, you just got your butt kicked in morning practice. You sit down with them at lunch and go, and the kid goes, I suck. I'm done. And the kid goes, no. I suck today too. It's okay. Like, it happens. We all have those days. And that's what I want to give my guys. It's not, big brother is watching. It's someone to pick you up off the mat, dust you off, and say, hey, let's go again. And that bond. And it works well. It's not foolproof, but I want that family atmosphere, kind of like I started with the tight end dinners, Connor, which you had to unfortunately follow that tradition. But,
you did a good job. I had some good.
It's powerful, right?
My is you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Getting the guys out of the building and in a different environment to be able to just hang out and enjoy each other's company. Like I said, not having to worry about, taking notes or having to be football related, but just being able to hang out makes a huge difference. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I tell this story, and Davis, you'll know, you might remember Carletti Famati Inu. He when we moved him from fullback to tight end.
Yesterday.
Is he back? Is he up there?
Yeah, he was up in town. I visited with him. Yeah, man, it was good. He's doing better. He's not. He knows he's got Angle Reid down.
But he moved from fullback to tight end, and he hardly talked. He didn't talk to anybody. He was very. I mean, Iowa's a long way from Alaska, and culturally very different. And by our third or fourth tight end dinner that year, we couldn't get him to shut up. I mean, he's hilarious. Like, you just get a personality that you didn't see out of him, and I didn't do the tight end dinners because of him. I did it because I like to cook, and I grew up thankfully with two parents, myself and my brother, sitting around the kitchen table every night, whether it's after basketball practice, before basketball practice. You know, son was already down. It's 8 o'clock. We always had family dinner, and there's some of my favorite memories I'll have for the rest of my life, and I want to give my kids that. And so when you're a tight end coach and you got 6 kids, it's a lot easier than when I have, 25 to 30 right now. Plus my budget isn't great. Offensive lineman, but those bonds, and that's what I wanted. And to see Carletti come out of his shell like he did, it just reinforced that I was doing things the right way. And to see the player in person he's become now compared to as a freshman is honestly one of my proudest achievements so far, is to see where he is and where he's going, because I love him to death.
Yeah, no doubt. And you're absolutely right. I think that all those things you kind of just touched on are all awesome and spot on. And another thing I want to ask you, kind of transitioning a little bit over. So, I know when I would get a chance to work with you and coach with you at Dubuque, you were my go-to guy anytime I had questions about, recruiting or any of the medical stuff. And obviously that was for the, Division III stuff. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the differences in, the NCAA with Division I, II, and III, or, and compared to NAIA? I think that's something maybe a lot of our players up here don't have enough information on. I wonder if you could just kind of help explain a little bit more about that.
So the NAIA is a little bit more decentralized than the NCAA in terms of rules. A lot of our scholarship limits, and there's a overall set of rules that are somewhat vague at times. And then each conference has stricter regulations. Like our conference, we can't offer more than full tuition. We can't touch room and board in terms of cost to go here. Now, if they have Pell Grant money or any of that, they can use that towards that. Other NAIA conferences, if they want to give you a full ride, they can give you a full ride. That is up to them. And obviously at D3 with no scholarships outside of just your normal academic stuff. In NCAA, if you're a really good student or at private schools that are D2, you typically have to choose between your academic or your athletic money. At our level, we stack them 100%. So you get, $15,000 for being a good student, and then we're going to give you, 10 for being a football player. Those stack right on top of each other. You don't have to choose. The range of competition, you have some NAIA schools that couldn't beat D3 schools. We scrimmaged both MSU Mankato and Northern State this spring. We beat both. Now, I will say Mankato was coming off of not playing a football game in 450 days. They were a little rusty. It was still a great game and really good competition. Us versus them in the middle of the season, they're just bigger, nastier up front than anything we see. I'm going to be honest with you. So it would have gotten after us. But, we beat Northern State and my brother.
I was just going to say, you got linked up with your brother there. I was going to ask you if you got that in the works yet. So I'm glad you got a chance to go out there and compete. That's awesome.
Yeah, we I think it was like 42-7, something like that was what the scrimmage was. We played a mock game. And so, but NAIA, you're going to have a huge range of different teams. Like in our conference, we had the top 3 offenses in the country in the NAIA. You also had 3 of the worst defenses at the bottom of the slate. So you just have a wider range. And most of us are all smaller schools, whether they're, like Dickinson State, which is, a public school, but it's a smaller public school. Most of us are all smaller public schools that really don't fit in the D2 model or couldn't compete because, Morningside back in the day used to be in the old NCC, which was North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Northern Colorado, Mankato, Augustana, and St. Cloud. We competed in basketball fine. our football team did not do well. It just wasn't the right fit for us. And that was back when we had 800 kids. So it's a little bit decentralized, but it's very comparable to very good D2 up to top 20 D2 football, in my opinion. If you dropped us in the NSIC, we'd struggle with Mankato, we'd struggle with Winona, and probably Sioux Falls because how big they are on the lines. Our skill kids would be just as good. Everyone else, I think we'd be do just fine against. And obviously, we'd be able to recruit a little differently too.
So let me go with some more recruiting questions. Actually, let's dovetail this into ball because we all love ball here.
Correct.
O-line coach, recruiting. What are you looking for to show up on tape? What are some of the things that you, if you could design an O-lineman from 9th grade high school year, what are some of the things you would do for them to be the most game ready by the time they hit their incoming year at Morningside?
The two things I look for on film, and I tell young kids when they come to our youth camps and all that, good feet and be nasty. In 2019, my starting right guard was 5'8", 240 pounds. He had unbelievable feet, and he was a weapon in the screen game, but he was the meanest, nastiest junkyard dog you'd ever met. I mean, on the field, and not in a dirty way. He finished every block. He was the chihuahua biting at your ankle if you're a big guy. But he was relentless. And I'll play those guys. Would I like all my guys to be between 6'2" to 6'6", between 250 to 270 pounds? Yes. I'm a lean O-line guy. I don't want big bodies that I got to try and cut weight off of. I'd rather take a 6'3", 240-pound slow tight end, move him to tackle because he's got tight end feet, not O-line feet, and say, hey, go to 250 and just have abs and be a butt kicker. My O-line this year is the most athletic I've had here, most athletic they've ever had. In the last game, we were pulling all 5 of our linemen. We can pull anybody anytime because I have athletes. And it meshes with how I teach protection, and it meshes that we're a no-huddle tempo team. I can't have big blobs, but I want really, really good feet and nasty. Everything else I can teach. If I can't teach the other stuff, get out of the kitchen. I get paid the big bucks to teach technique and that stuff. If you got good feet, you got nasty, I can coach you. So, that's for young O-line. Whether they're 5'8", 240 or 6'6", 270 like my All-American left tackle was last year, good feet and nasty are only two things I care about and look for in a film.
Heck yeah. Like you said, wouldn't it be nice if they were all 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", whatever, 260 pounds and making life easy for you?
It would be great. It would be fantastic, but I also think I might get a little bored once in a while. So.
Well, Coach Beckley, his freshman year at West High School, was had great feet and was medium nasty at the C team level at West, and then he becomes a quarterback. So I can't figure
because all I did was stop block, and then I realized I couldn't do that anymore, and I was no longer anything. I was just that fat blob on the field. Like it would not be a great good Morningside. I'll tell you that much.
Oh shoot!
I would pay if their coach, if there's some C team footage laying around from back in the day that happens to make it out on Twitter, it might get retweeted and I might sick my guys on it. So it might go viral that we need to get that out there.
I don't think any C Team 2009 footage exists, but I am going to dig through the archives of whatever we got here. I think maybe reel to reel or VHS or something. But
you know what? We need to call Mama Feckley. I'm sure she's got a home video or two that might feed the.
You know what? That might need to go up on the feed. Following up though, NAIA level, do you feel like you can find some of these guys with do you feel like you have a freedom to really focus on the nasty, regardless of frame size?
I think I do. Obviously, if a 6'4", 250 kid maybe not isn't the nastiest in the world, am I going to take a flyer on you? Absolutely, because it might turn into something, or I can see if I can coach it into you a little bit. But my first O-line class here, I'll be honest, it was coming off the first national title, and it wasn't a great class, but it didn't need to be. We didn't spend as much money there as we could have, and we went other places, and that's what happens year to year. This year's class is by far the best O-line class we've ever had come in, and both D coordinators say it, and our corners coach, who's our recruiting coordinator, goes far and away by far the best we've ever had coming in. We got nasty dudes who are really good athletes. I only have one or two guys that are going to have to cut weight in a good way, and you can't just say, hey, you got to get down to 280. It's like, okay, here's the plan. You need to, number one, watch what you eat. You're going to work out. And if you start putting on weight, but it's good weight, okay, then that means we're going to start hitting the jump rope and the ladders. And we're just going to try and get our feet as good as we possibly can. But most of these kids are going to come in and they're just going to eat and be college freshmen and put on, 15 to 25 pounds as 18 to 22-year-olds do once they start eating the calf and the ice cream machine's available and they're lifting 4 days a week. And here we go. And so, because of the depth I have, I am able to be a little more selective or search out some guys that have the nasty or that have good feet. I didn't feel like I had to go get an unbelievable class. It just happened this year that we worked really hard. And the other coaches on staff, when we went down, like, what do you want? I'm like, don't bring me size. Don't bring me just mass. Give me good feet. Give me athletes. Give me long bodies. And we'll do what we need to do. And I have a great support system around me for the staff that they went and found the guys, and we closed the deals, and our head coach, closed the door and, made the pitch, and they decided to be Mustangs. So, but if they're nasty, I don't care what they weigh or how big they are, I'll take them without a doubt. That's the most important thing for me.
I know going in for like Division III, when you got guys coming in the fall, new freshmen, you got to make sure they show up with all their medical paperwork. And I'm kind of jumping gears. Is it similar to like sickle cell physical type stuff, or at the NAIA level? I mean, is it a little bit different?
So we actually do all our physicals in-house when freshmen get here on check-in day. So we have 2 team docs plus nursing students that are on campus that do the, kind of like the nursing students at Dubuque did, the blood pressure and all that. But we do our physicals in-house. So really all that paperwork stuff that you and I both pulled hair out for years over, we don't have that issue at all. Like even every year our kids get a physical, even returners do, but they do it over the summer. And so we check them year by year. And if, something pops up, they get them into a specialist because our 2 team docs are terrific.
You sent us what you call the recruiting message schedule.
Yep.
And so this document I've been looking over the last few days, and it starts off with your week 1. I kind of want to talk about that. You have a STEP program is what you call this thing. Mm-hmm. Smart, tough, enthusiastic, persistent. Tell us a little bit about how you implement these values. Like why these? Why for the O-line? What are you trying to accomplish with these? Because I think it's great. I just want you to tell me more about it.
So STEP is actually our whole program mantra. Coach Ryan, our head coach, they came up with that before the 2005 season with the seniors and him. And, let's not ask our kids to do too much. I have a saying I've written on my board I took from our old OC, do simple better. And so this is his version. Let's ask our kids to do these 4 things when we're on the field. Play smart, play tough, play enthusiastic, play persistent. Do those things, and we will be successful. And I just went in and said, okay, how is the O-line going to play smart? What's our definition? So understand the how and why of our fundamentals. And then, focus on the fundamentals. What we do is we have to have a base for everything we do, and that's our fundamentals. That's our footwork. We work from the ground up in the O-line room. We talk on the field. We work ground up. That's why footwork is so important for us. And then understand game situations and how they affect us. If it's third and 15, well, let's get in a 2-point stance so we can see what the heck's going on, what the defense is doing, get our heads up so we can communicate. And then we get to tough, play through the whistle. And then protection is personal is my kind of personal saying for the O-line. I'm an older brother. In fact, you're an older brother.
Yep.
In our world, there's only one person who can pick on younger siblings, and that's us. I can remember going across the playground to, dispense some playground justice to a kid who's trying to pick on my little brother in elementary school. That's it. I get to pick on him, and only me. And I want my O-line to treat the quarterbacks and running backs and skill kids. They're your younger siblings. Protective instincts are incredibly powerful. And so some kids naturally have them. Other kids, we have to develop it. But protection is personal. And I want, to our core, that to be really important to us. And then finish, I want guys on their back. In pass pro, if they're rushing 3, there should be 2 guys on their back. If they're rushing 4, if there's a double team, get a guy on their back. In the run game, play on their side line of scrimmage. Run your feet. At whistle blowing, you're pushing, you're shoving, you're finishing aggressive. Finish the play. Enthusiastic for O-line. Being an O-lineman, it's not position, it's a lifestyle. Let's be honest. It's hard. It sucks. There's a ton of rewarding values there, but if you want publicity or you want stats, it's not us. So you got to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, you'll never be great at what you do. And be ready to work every day. Some days wide receivers can take a couple of periods off. O-line, my guys, even on days when it's helmets only, they still wear the girdles with the thigh pads in, because there's 2 speeds in the trenches. There's walk through and there's go. Like, yeah, we might not put you on the ground, but we're going. So be ready to work every day. Persistent. We also use the word relentless a little bit more now. Stir doesn't sound quite as good as step, so it stays step on all the graphics and stuff, but we use relentless. Never quit. It's kind of like the Man in the Arena poem, which I think is Teddy Roosevelt, if I remember correct. The greatest challenge is yourself. How hard can you go? You get punched, get back up, keep fighting until you can't go ever again. Never quit. Protection is personal. That's about being persistent. Because, okay, you got beat off the snap because you set out to a 3 technique and you're a guard. Well, I can pout about it and get my quarterback hit, or I can flip my hips, run, and try and shove him by and give us a chance. That's taking it personal. And then always believe is one of our values of the herd, which we call our offense. Our offensive values are protect football, value the football, always believe, and then max Q, which is talking about our tempo and efficiency. But persistence, always believe. Even that game when we're down, we got a Hail Mary from about the 50-yard line. We protected. They brought 4. We protected. Quarterback stepped up in the pocket. If the wide receiver looks over the other shoulder, we might win it. It was that close. So, our guys were tired. We played 115 snaps on offense that day in 90-degree heat. And the last play, they were still fighting their tail off and getting it done. So,
I love it. I love all those processes. I'm curious about you put understanding there. Do you guys do like a football 101 class with your incoming dudes? Do you do like, hey, because one of the things Coach Feckley and I have observed is a lack of football knowledge, certainly at the high school level, but even then on Twitter, I've seen things like LSU does, like they had like a thing they put out the other day where it showed the exact dimensions of the field and how long the hashes are and how it's different than high school. Just stuff like that. Do you guys do anything like that with your crew?
We use a lot of film and talk about situations on film, and I'm a big data guy, and part of that is because of, again, Nystrom kind of drills at India, and I'm incredibly thankful I learned under him for that stuff, because it's made me a better offensive line coach. And I'm an economics guy, so I'm a numbers guy. So you give me data and you give me Excel sheets, and I can pull things out of there. And so on film, we put in all the data up top, and I tell my guys, hey, you got to notice, you got to watch, hey, 3rd down, what's going on? Or, hey, it's 1st and 10, look at their stances. Or, you know what? It's 3rd and 7. They're thinking we're going to throw. No, we're going to run the football. And here's why we're really successful running the ball on 3rd down, because people watch way too much ESPN and listen to move the pocket for the quarterback, and you got to throw the ball if it's 3rd and 4 or more. No, you run the football, and you're more likely to get it. That's the kind of the understanding we do. We do a lot of segments in practice. Hey, it's 2-minute drill. Okay, we have 1 minute left. We have one timeout. This guy's hurt. Who's in? And then play the situation. If something goes wrong or someone misses a substitution or whatnot, we'll talk about it as a staff. And then in meetings the next day, we'll discuss it again and say, hey, here's what should have happened. Here's the situation. Here are the rules. Like in the week of the semis, we had one of my guys got kicked on the shin and he went down and we had no timeouts. And so our coach ended the 2-minute drill because we didn't have a timeout to stop the clock. And an injury timeout is a 10-second runoff. My guys didn't know that rule. So said, hey, next time you got to pick him up. You got to get him up to the ball. We got to spike it, and then we'll run somewhere on the field. That's what we have to do. But we practice those. It's not necessarily a football 101 per se. At this level, at high school, you definitely should do something like that because a lot of kids don't know. But it's just using enough situational awareness and teach those situations in practice and talk about them and use film. I got this from Coach Ryan, and he's a really, really smart guy, 36 ACT type smart guy. Males are visual learners. So whether they're video or board or something, walkthroughs are great, but most males are visual learners. And that's why I use video as much as I do. And I teach my kids to watch video because, shoot, they can watch on their phone now. O-line, I want to say we watch more video than all the other positions. My group does, and I'm incredibly proud of them because I don't have to pull teeth to get them to do it. They even hang out and do it together. So, and it's really funny when they send me clips of them laughing at watching some crazy stuff happen on film in another game. So that happens about twice a week, which is always fun for me to see those guys getting together and doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was just gonna say to clarify for anyone who doesn't know, Drew Nystrom, who is currently the OC O-line coach at John Carroll University, is who we're giving reference to. I know we did a podcast here with Coach Shack, and he was giving reference to a different Coach Nystrom. So there's a little
that
is good for coaching game.
That's wild. The in the John Carroll coaching tree is that's a pretty good one as you go upward.
Yeah, not a bad place to be. Not a bad place to be there for coach. So that's good, but
super rad.
But yeah, like I said, learned a lot from Coach Nystrom, and obviously he's in a good spot there, carrying on all that good knowledge, and then you are as well at Morningside, so that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was actually kind of fun at the AFCA.
Yeah.
Not last year, 2 years ago, bumped into you, obviously, but Nystrom and I, I was his first GA, and it was, and obviously I'm a new coach. We definitely, we butted heads. It was contentious relationship at times because I'm a hotshot young guy who has a previous relationship with the head coach for a long time and a smart ass, for lack of a better word, as a young coach. And Nystrom is obviously very structured. It's who he is. It's what makes him good at his job is he's very structured, this is how things are done. This is an order. He's a D1 guy. So if you're a GA, you sit in the back of the room and you shut up. And that's not the way I was raised. And so we butted heads, but by the end, it was very much a professional affinity for what we respected each other, and then getting together just to talk. And I didn't realize how much I learned to him until I left and did this job, being an O-line coach on my own.
Totally.
And then just he was incredibly proud of what I had done, being a first-year O-line coach, winning a national title, and the success we had, which was really fun to hear and have that relationship. And now we text every so often, see how things are going, how our seasons are going, how the family's doing, stuff like that. So if you would have told me 3 years ago that would be our relationship, I would have lost a lot of money on that one. So, but I can't say how thankful I am for learning from him in terms of the numbers stuff and the statistical analysis and the breakdown stuff. That system that, I'll be honest, was a little OCD at Dubuque, like very, very anal, as you know, Connor. I've simplified it a little bit. So if you want the Cliff Notes version, let me know. Because it fits who we are here a little better. We're not quite as picky. but the base and the root of it, until you have to do it by yourself, and then you have to use it to see tendencies and see blitzes, not just put in data, you don't understand the brilliance of it. And then once you got to use it and you understand the brilliance, I really don't want to use any other system ever again. It's that good. So,
So what's
You're absolutely right.
You've kind of just given us some, but I'm curious, what's the best advice you can give for a GA?
Two things. Number one, ask questions. Ask questions, but do it at the right time. And then with that, ask for responsibilities. My 1 year as a special teams coordinator, my last year at Dubuque, wasn't a great special teams year for us. I mean, we didn't have a kickoff guy. We had a really good punter, but we had no kickoff guy, which was horrible. But it made me see the game in a different way, and I asked for that responsibility. It wasn't given to me. And two, put in the time. And that doesn't mean necessarily sitting at your desk from 6 a.m. until midnight. But if you got a job to do it to the best of your ability and get your work done. And put in the time to learn. If you want to be a spread guy, go track down as much Washington State, Mike Leach film as you can find. If you want to be an option guy, well, figure out a way, go visit Army or Navy or Georgia Southern. Go to those places, put in the time. And for me, it was spending time at Mankato, learning from what they do. It's spending time at North Dakota State, learning what they do. From guys I know. And then I got really lucky when I got here. The dream offense that Connor used to watch me put up on the board and talk about with Jeremy Whitlow over and over and over again, we're running.
Oh, yeah.
It's what we do here. And it was the thing. I walked into this not knowing what they did on offense and go, oh my God, it's perfect. It's basketball on grass is what I call it. It's fantastic. But, put in the time, put in the work, and understand it's going to be bumpy. It's not easy. Doing what we do is not easy. Whether you're a young high school coach like you were, Coach Davis, I'm sure when you took over how many years ago, you learn a lot on the fly, but you got to put in time and you just got to put in the work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's when you're a young guy, and I kind of joke, like I kind of want to get a T-shirt made that says "I'm my own GA." I mean, because that, and I think that's the high school world. You're doing the laundry, they're probably mowing the grass or raking the turf nowadays, whatever it might be. So no, it's a fun world, but there's a lot of the minutia of the details of the things that, yeah, I'm my own GA. But now we got Feckley, who is a position coach, but now
I'm basically a GA.
We have two GAs.
Hey, Becky, I always thought you'd be a star GA, whether it's the third time I've tried to hire you now to be my tight ends coach, or, up in Alaska. I think it's just because you're a full-time awesome GA, because at least you lighten the mood all the time around the office. That is 110% for sure. That, and you got the salmon hookup up there in the Great North.
Well, I'm glad I can contribute somehow, whether it's been, like I said, bringing comedy and some laughs to the room, or supplying it with some salmon. I'm glad I've been able to do something.
Hey, we're bumping up on time, Jay. What final words you got for anybody who's recruiting their kids, whatever you got? Anything that came to your mind during this cast? What should we be left with?
I think with the way the world is today, you gotta make sure you find the light each day, the good things that happen each day. There's gonna be good, there's gonna be bad, there's gonna be up, there's gonna be down. You're going to have good days in the office. You're going to have good days at school. You're going to have bad days in the office. You're going to have bad days in school. But you just got to keep plugging along. Keep grinding. Good things will happen. And for me, Connor, you probably heard me talk about wanting to, be a D1 coach. Or, before I got the job here, when I was at Dubuque, I applied for 50 other jobs. I had one other interview. I almost got to be a GA at Yale after my third year, which would have been awesome. Wasn't meant to be. I was meant to be here. And I found a home with an amazing staff and amazing people that 2 weeks before I applied for this job, I didn't know Morningside. I'd heard of it, didn't know it existed. So you never know when good things are going to happen. Just keep plodding along and working your tail off and honing your craft, whether as a player or as a coach. Just keep grinding. Good things will happen.
Great stuff, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it, and hopefully I'll be seeing you this summer up there at camp.